I came up with the perfect Flash game, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done on YouTube. In my previous videos in this series, I showed you the perfect X-Men and Superman games, but those were easy by comparison because speedsters ruin everything.
What did you just say?
There's a reason the MCU barely has any, and why the CW Flash show has so many episodes where Barry forgets he has powers. It's hard to come up with scenarios that will be legitimately challenging for somebody who can save an entire city from a nuclear bomb after it's already exploded, but I pulled it off. So today I'll be going over how to build the perfect Flash game, from the story and gameplay mechanics to which studios I think should develop it. So hit the like button, and if you aren't satisfied by the end, change it to a dislike. Barry Allen is a forensic scientist for the Central City Police Department and is staying late in his office because he is trying to solve a bizarre case. The lifeless bodies of two scientists from Star Labs were found, but the weapon that had to have been used doesn't exist as far as his understanding of science goes. He should be getting ready for his meeting with Iris West, but he couldn't help himself. His thoughts are interrupted by a distant boom. Barry looks out his window where Star Labs is just visible. There is a blinding flash of light and the smell of burnt rubber as Barry is thrown backwards into a shelf containing a variety of chemicals. The last thing Barry hears before blacking out are the sounds of police sirens and what almost sounds like laughter. He wakes up in what he immediately recognizes as a hospital room. Next to Barry on his left is his lab assistant, Patty Spivot, and Detective August Hart, seated in chairs by his bed. On his right is a uniformed police officer reading a newspaper. Barry realizes he's handcuffed to the hospital bed. Both are shocked when they notice he's awake. Patty informs Barry he's been in a coma for 2 months after an accident at his lab. Barry is handcuffed because he's the prime suspect in the deaths of the scientists and has been linked to an explosion at Star Labs from that night. Seeing he's overwhelmed, Patty convinces everyone to give him a little privacy, and they all wait outside the door. Barry feels strange, as if his body is heating up from the inside. All he wants to do is get out of here, far away from this nightmare. And he does. Like waking up from a dream, Barry is no longer in the hospital. He's in front of the house he grew up in, still wearing the hospital gown. Broken handcuffs are dangling from his wrists where they'd been snapped off the bed. This is how we'll begin the story of the man who will become the Flash. Barry must work to clear his name and navigate a city that has been turned upside down by a wave of criminals with superhuman abilities and prove his innocence. He'll be helped along the way by Jay Garrick, a man with superhuman speed that claims to be from the future, who will help Barry figure out his newfound powers and find the source of all the chaos in Central City. For this game, I'll be drawing inspiration from the Flash Rebirth comic and the CW show, which has some really good ideas for the character, especially the first few seasons. The Flash game will be a single-player open-world action game with RPG elements, built in Unreal Engine 5. Similar to my Superman game, which takes place in the same universe as the Flash, I want a fully explorable planet Earth. It's an important part of the power fantasy of being the Flash to have enough room to get the most out of your super speed, and opening up the world beyond just Central City also creates exciting new possibilities for missions and even abilities. The combat system will have a combination of quick time events and precision strikes to increase the impact of the Flash's attacks, in addition to a large number of skills that you'll unlock and upgrade as you progress through the story. Barry will also be able to access greater abilities by tapping into the Speed Force, which will be a meter that will slowly recharge over time, that you can improve by playing through the game and upgrading. Progression is very important for a game like this, and I actually like aspects of how the CW had Barry improve through training and battles against difficult villains that forced him to adapt, learn new ways to apply his powers, and unlock new levels of speed. I think that's perfect for a video game and how I'll be doing the progression. The best way I thought of to add a variety of enemies that can challenge the player in different ways was to include the rogues. Not only are they iconic, but the roster is perfect for introducing Barry to different threats that he can't just instantly eliminate by being fast. To best do that, this version of the rogues are the ones enhanced by the work of Dr. Darwin Elias, who essentially rewrites their DNA to incorporate their various gadgets so they have actual superpowers. Captain Cole is essential to include, not just because he's the leader, but his use of cryo will serve as a counter to Barry's speed, which you'll have to wisely navigate around during battles against Snart and his henchmen, who will literally be trying to slow Barry down. Weather Wizard's abilities will make it difficult for Barry to reach him in close quarters combat, and his power to create deadly storms will also force you to neutralize the immediate weather threat instead of directly going after Weather Wizard at times. Trickster is another member of the Rogues and will bring a Joker-esque style of chaos and unpredictability to the game. With his arsenal of deadly gadgets and traps, he'll challenge Barry's speed by forcing him to think critically and make split-second decisions to avoid deadly surprises. Pied Piper is a master of sound manipulation, and his sonic weaponry will test Barry's ability to move move at high speeds without being disoriented or incapacitated by powerful sound waves. His ability to control people with his music adds another layer of complexity, as Barry will have to save civilians from his control while fighting him. Heatwave is not only a genius when it comes to science, but also tactics and strategy, so battles against him won't just be straightforward brawls. He always tries to manipulate scenarios to put him at an advantage, which is made much more dangerous by his fire-based abilities. Heatwave can make the environment difficult for Barry to operate in, especially with his Ultra Steam, which can enter the system of people to melt their energy and even ignite the Flash's cells at the molecular level. Abracadabra is a time-traveling sorcerer with advanced technology that appears like magic. He will test Barry's ability to understand and adapt to new and unexpected threats, as his magic can create illusions, teleport, and manipulate time, forcing Barry to think on his feet and adjust his strategy. Mirror Master can control and manipulate reflective surfaces, creating a confusing battlefield filled with duplicates and illusions. Barry will have to rely on his intuition and quick reflexes to determine which reflections are real and which are just tricks, all while trying to locate and defeat Mirror Master. Lisa Snart, aka Golden Glider, is the sister of Captain Cold and girlfriend of Mirror Master. The explosion that grants them their powers and her tumor leaves her bedbound, but she's able to use astral projection to be extremely powerful. Her astral form is fast enough to keep up with Barry, fly, become intangible, go invisible, and produce energy tendrils that, if they make contact with Barry, will suppress his access to the Speed Force. In addition to the rogues, King Shark will serve as a powerhouse enemy, using his brute strength and ferocity to challenge Barry's speed. Battles with King Shark will force Barry to use his environment and speed to outmaneuver the deadly creature, rather than relying on brute force. The game's final villain is Professor Zoom, who has been manipulating events this entire time, and will be the ultimate test, as Barry will have to defeat another speedster that has more experience and control of his powers. In addition to the villain battles, the Flash game will also feature a variety of missions where time is of the essence. These will include saving people from bombs, preventing a collapsing bridge, and other scenarios that will require Barry to use his super speed and quick thinking to save the day. These missions will not only test the player's ability to strategize, but also provide a sense of urgency and excitement that is fitting for a game centered around the fastest man alive. I think the Spider-Man PS4 approach to cosmetics is perfect for this game, especially with how important the Flash's costume is due to his powers. I like the idea of you tracking down different parts to unlock new suits, and there will be a bunch of iconic ones to choose from, with each providing Barry with certain perks. I think this is a much more interesting way to feature costumes in superhero games rather than trying to force in a looter system. In terms of which studio I want to take this on, WB owns the Flash IP and have several studios as part of their games division that could handle this, with my favorite being Avalanche Software, Monolith Productions, WB Games Montreal, and Rocksteady. But if they'd be open to working with an outside studio, I think Sucker Punch, Santa Monica, Eidos Montreal, and Hello Games will be interesting picks. If any studio happens to be watching this video, you have my full permission to develop this game, and I'd be happy to work as a consultant. And if you're also curious about what the perfect Superman game looks like, check out this next video.